Welcome to Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha and Dad. We are here to tell you about the movies on TV that you probably have not seen. Well, maybe you have. Maybe you've forgotten about them because some of these movies are older, like me. Like today's movie. It's an old movie. It predates Tabitha by 20 years. Tabitha, tell everybody what we're going to watch today. Well, talk about today.
We are gonna watch stuff. Oh, the complete series. No, we're not talking about the complete series.
Can I tell you a joke real quick?
Sure.
Okay. Um, there was a two gentlemen. They were good friends growing up. One's name was Sam Clam, the other was Larry Lobster, and they grew up just having a great time together. And they got older together. And one day, Sam Sam Clam died, and Larry Lobster really missed his friend Sam Clam. And then after about 20 more years of old age, Larry Lobster dies. And Larry goes to heaven. And he says to St. Peter, "I'd like to see my friend Sam Clam." Peter says, "Boy, your friend Sam Clam, he just did some shady things and he didn't quite make it here." And you're kidding me. This is all I've been looking forward to was to come to heaven and see Sam Clam. I don't, what else am I going to do? St. Peter said, "Well, I can give you a pass and you could go down there and visit Sam." And so Larry gets a pass from St. Peter and goes down to hell, and he finds Sam Clam, who's doing pretty good in hell. He owns this like bar and grill, and Larry walks in. Sam says, "Larry, you're here. I can't believe you're here. I didn't think you'd make it in hell. You seem more like a heaven character." So, well, I am in heaven, but I got a day pass just to come and see you. And so Sam said, "Okay, well, have a seat. Drinks are on me. I mean, I own this bar." So Larry sits down with Sam and they have a drink. And then that leads to a couple drinks, a lot of laughter, a lot of drinks, and Larry's like, "Oh, I really need to get back up to heaven. Where's my wings?" Says, "They're right on your back." "Okay, well, where, my halo? Your halo's a little crooked, but you're okay." "Is that everything you came down here with?" "Yeah, I guess so. Sam, it's been nice seeing you. I gotta go back to heaven though." I said, "Okay, well, maybe we'll do this again sometime." I said, "Yeah." So Larry goes back to heaven, and St. Peter sees him just sitting there on a cloud, all depressed. Said, "What's wrong? You know, didn't you enjoy your time seeing Sam?" He said, "Yeah, it was great seeing Sam." "So, well, you look a little rough, your wings a little bent, your halo's, kind of crooked there. Did you have a little too much fun?" He said, "Yeah, I think maybe I did have a little too much fun." So, well, if you had all this fun, why are you so depressed? He said, "Well, St. Peter, the problem is I left my harp in Sam Clam's disco. It was a disco bar. I can cut that out."
That was a long joke.
Do I ever say short jokes that are stupid?
What, did you just hear that or something? Why did you have to tell me that now?
Because we're watching the streets of San Francisco, and I left my
Oh,
harp in
I
Sam
see.
Clam's disco.
Okay.
And
All
that's
right.
why Tabitha persistently looks for a new father. So, all right. Tell us about the pilot for The Streets of San Francisco.
Okay, well, The Streets of San Francisco was centered around two cops, Mike Stone, played by Karl Malden, and his younger, greener partner, Steve Keller, played by Michael Douglas. And it was a Quinn Martin production, as they
Okay,
would tell you at the beginning of every
yeah,
episode.
Quinn Martin did a lot of stuff in the 70s, and I always, a Quinn Martin production. Who was Quinn Martin?
He was a super producer who didn't work for any particular studio. He's behind famous shows like Barnaby Jones, The FBI, and The Fugitive, and Cannon, and 12 O'Clock High. He's got a list of hits to his name, but he also has a lot of flops to his name, which kind of led to his career flatlining. Um, Lots of pilots that didn't make it, lots of one season shows that didn't make it past that. But it's got a very interesting history.
Okay.
Excuse me. So this show ran for 5 seasons, 120 episodes on ABC from 1972 to 1977. There was also a TV movie sequel in the early 90s, which we might get to one day. The show is actually based on a novel by Carolyn Weston called Poor, Poor Ophelia. And I have read this book, and the story itself is pretty accurate to the story in this movie, but the characters are quite different. The cops are not named Stone and Keller, they are named Al Krug and Casey Kellogg. And Krug is a grizzled, old, bigoted asshole. Kellogg is very new to his career. He's still living at home with his parents and feels like he's got a lot to prove. And they do not like each other. Also, the book is set in Santa Monica, not San Francisco. So I'm not clear as to who read this book and was like, I got an idea. Caroline Weston did write two follow-up books centering on Krug, maybe it's Krug, whatever, him and Kellogg, called Susanna Screaming and Rouse the Demon. The story was adapted to television by Edward Hume, and he also created Cannon and Barnaby Jones, other Quinn Martin productions, and a short-lived series called Toma,
I
which also
remember
might have
Toma.
been. Oh, you do?
Yes, I remember all these. But Toma, yes, I
That
can
also
remember
might
that
have been a Quinn Martin production. I'm not sure. Oh, maybe not. It's not in here. Anyway, Hume wrote a few telefilms like John and Yoko, A Love Story, bleh, and Flood, A River's Rampage. That's a fun title. Hume passed away in 2023 at age 87. This pilot was directed by Walter Grauman. He created a short-lived show called Blue Light that starred Robert Goulet of all people.
one.
He directed a ton of TV shows, including The Naked City, The Twilight Zone, Route 66, all the way up through Trapper John and Murder, She Wrote. In total, he directed 12 episodes of this series, and he directed another TV movie that I like called Crowhaven Farm. He did some features as well, most notably for me, Lady in a Cage. He passed away in 2015 at 93, and he also wrote the foreword to this Quinn Martin book.
Ah,
Yes.
very good.
As mentioned, this series stars Academy Award winner Karl Malden. You know him from On the Waterfront, Streetcar Named Desire, Gypsy, Pollyanna, I Confess, etc., etc. He won his Oscar for Streetcar Named Desire, and he was nominated again for On the Waterfront. He was nominated for an Emmy 4 times for this series, and he won an Emmy for the mini-series Fatal Vision. He passed away in 2009 at 97.
Let me say something.
No.
Fine. Karl Malden, in my mind, gives one of the five best performances on film. And I made this list out a few weeks ago. So I want to revisit this. Okay. These are my five, I think the five best performances on film. Karl Malden and On the
Okay.
Waterfront. Just for him to steal the movie from what's his
Brando.
name? Brando is amazing. And I I will bet a lot of people went to the priesthood back then just because of that performance. It was so compelling. Orson Welles in Citizen Kane, which I know you hate, but I love.
I should watch it again. I was a kid technically the last time I watched it, so.
Uh, Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice, Christoph Waltz in Inglorious Bastards, and Daniel Day-Lewis in Anything. But My Left
Okay.
Foot is my favorite of Daniel Day-Lewis's performances, but I put Karl Malden in there. And he worked with Brando on The Waterfront, and he also worked with him in A Streetcar Named Desire. Um, had a great career. Finished his career doing a lot of commercials for Traveler's Checks, which was kind of cool. And he had that authority
Yeah,
voice. So anyway, just love Karl Malden.
he came up in the same method camp that Brando was in as well. So,
They worked
you
well
know,
together.
yes, yeah, they had the same kind of acting. His co-star ended up becoming another Oscar winner, Michael Douglas, and I'm sure you all know who he is. He plays such a straight-laced good guy on this show, but playing slimy assholes is really where he shines, you know? Like, see, Fatal Attraction, Wall Street, The Game, Basic Instinct, A Perfect Murder. I'm sure there are more. And if any of you kids are watching, then you know who he is as Hank Pym from the Ant-Man movies.
Ant-Man, my favorite superhero.
He also starred in The American President, Romancing the Stone, Traffic, and a movie I love called Wonder Boys. And I'm jealous of him because he married my girlfriend, Catherine Zeta-Jones. But it's fine, I'm over it. He won
Well,
his
the
Oscar for
weird
Wall
thing is,
Street.
when he was doing this, she was either not born or a kid. So
She was born. She was just very, very, very little.
I said a kid, okay.
Yeah. He actually has another Oscar for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which he was a producer and was pretty instrumental in getting that movie made. In fact, that movie is why he ended up leaving the streets of San Francisco to pursue that side of his career. He also has an Emmy for Behind the Candelabra, and he was nominated for Emmys for this show as well. And Douglas, knock on wood, is still with us today at 82. Douglas and Malden already knew each other from before the show started because Malden was a friend of Kirk Douglas, so he actually knew Michael like as a child, which I thought was kind of cute. In this movie, we also have Robert Wagner. His name, number two. He is probably best remembered these days for the Austin Powers movies. But he had a few shows back in the day. He had Heart to Heart,
Loved Heart
Switch,
to
and
Heart.
It Takes a Thief. Do you really?
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. When they got
I've actually
together,
never watched Heart to
it
Heart.
was murder. Yeah.
He was in films like Harper, The Towering Inferno, The Pink Panther, and Airport 79, the worst of the airport movies, and it's not even close. It's such a bad movie.
Is that the one with the Concorde that went down?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I,
Yes.
I saw it.
So bad. If okay. This is pretty old in itself now, but he played DiNozzo's father on NCIS. I was a big NCIS fan back in the day, so that was kind of cool for me. Also, he was married to Natalie Wood twice, and maybe he killed her, unclear, but he is still alive today.
He only half killed her. Christopher Walken did the other half. So,
And they swore to never speak of it again.
this is great champagne. Do you think we should kill your wife?
Anyway, next up is Tom Bosley in a small role, but it's Tom Bosley, so he's worth noting. He is Mr. Cunningham himself. He was also the dumb sheriff on Murder, She Wrote. He was in Love with the Proper Stranger with Natalie Wood, speaking of. He worked on Night Gallery, Bonanza, the FBI, Dr. Kildare, um, tons of shows. And he passed away in 2010 at 83.
And he was a Cub fan.
Was he? Okay.
Yes, huge Cub fan.
There you go. We also have Kim Darby, probably best known for True Grit, the original. Watch the remake, it's better. She was also the star of the famous TV movie Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. She worked on shows like Ironside, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Gunsmoke, and The Donna Reed Show. And of note to me and me alone, she had a super intense and dramatic relationship with Pete Duell. But we're not here to unpack that. Darby is still with us today. And finally, we have Mako. This man was in The Sand Pebbles, the Conan movies, Memoirs of a Geisha, and Pacific Heights, but Today, most people probably know him from his voiceover work on Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's got a very small part in this, but I did think it was worth noting. He passed away in 2006 at age 72.
And which one was he?
He was the karate instructor.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now, real quick before you get into it, um, I had a hard time getting over all the hair on Tom Bosley. Kind of had a poof, little perm thing going there. And Michael Douglas also has a pile of hair up here too.
Yeah, yeah, he does.
Anyway, keep going. I'm nitpicking now.
This movie aired September 16th, 1972 on ABC. It ran against the Mary Tyler Moore Show and the Bob Newhart Show on CBS and local programming on NBC. And you know what aired right before it?
The Alleys of San Diego.
Alias Smith and Jones.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now let's get into it. So we open on a beach in sunny San Francisco where a man is out for his morning jog with his dog who is a very good boy. The dog runs to the edge of the water and starts barking, and when his owner comes to investigate, he discovers the body of a young woman floating in the surf. Then we get our sweet, funky theme song as our soon to be introduced heroes race down the eponymous streets.
And that's
Notice
one of
how
the best theme songs.
it's pretty good, yeah.
It is great.
Notice how they catch air during this montage when they're driving. Yeah, Michael Douglas really accidentally did that and scared the shit out of Karl Malden, apparently. He didn't want him to drive anymore. Interestingly, Robert Wagner is billed over Michael Douglas. Now, I grant you this was pretty early in Douglas's career, but still, he's one of the leads of the show, and Wagner's technically a guest star, but whatever. They arrive at the crime scene, which has a nice view of the Golden Gate Bridge in case you forget what city we're in. Our cops are Steve Keller and Mike Stone. Stone is the older guy. He sees needle marks on the inside of the victim's elbow. So whether or not it killed her, she was definitely doing drugs. Keller asks if Stone is guessing suicide. He said it's too early to guess anything. They note that her outfit is missing a belt, and she's got a laminated card around her neck for a David Farr attorney at law. They waste no time in calling Farr, and he's like, "Oh shit, come down to the station, you say? I'm super busy. Shit, 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 shit." Nevertheless, he shows up on his lunch hour. Stone and Keller catch him on his way into the building and escort him straight to the morgue to identify the woman, which he does. He knows her. Her name is Holly Berry, not to be confused with Halle Berry. Different girl. He says he didn't know her very well, and he does seem genuinely shaken up by the situation. He said he helped her out of a jam once when she was arrested for marijuana possession, and that was only a week ago. But he doesn't say how on earth he knew to help this girl or she knew him out of some marijuana charge, you know? He tells him that she moved to to San Francisco from Tennessee with her brother and something about an uncle. That's all he knows. Her brother is living in a halfway house, so he's also had trouble with drugs. Keller snarks that it must run in the family, and Farr is quick to defend her, and before Keller can start laying into him, Stone interrupts and tells Farr to just sign his statement and lets him go for now. And you don't really get it in this movie, but what I like about their dynamic on the show is it's sort of reversed. Stone is very hot-headed and quick-tempered and emotional. And Keller, the younger guy, is very calm most of the time and is always ready to think things out before acting, which you'd think it would be the opposite. So in the parking lot, we're getting some handheld camera work to let us know that Farr is freaking the fuck out. Keller watches him from the office window and thinks that he's not telling them everything he knows. And Stone's like, "I know you got that fancy college education, but until we get medical reports, we have no case, therefore no suspects, so don't treat him like one."
Yeah, and he does kind of talk down to him quite a bit in this movie. And the series was on when I was a kid, so
Uh-huh.
I remember it being on, but I don't remember ever watching it. Um, did that continue in the series? Did he kind of talk down to the Michael Douglas character?
Hi, buddy. Excuse me. Excuse me, buddy. Hey, please. Out. Out. I got you. I got you. Come on. Out. 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 You can cut that.
I probably won't.
Kind of. I never really felt like he was talking down to him. He's just kind of
Well, the statement about that fancy college degree.
yeah, that he doesn't really snark about stuff like that. No.
Okay, I was just wondering if that was something that went on in the
It's
series.
probably something left over from the source material, the book. Because their dynamics pretty different for the rest of the series, in my opinion. Anyway, Stone has a meeting with his superior, lamenting about the recent Ramsey killing and the Donner killing, both of which only came up with shoes. And who knew that the police started investigating the Jean-Benet Ramsey case 25 years before it happened?
Ah,
They were on top of it. No, he was a little boy who was killed, and the only thing they found was one of his red cowboy boots. This will be important later. Anyway, now there's this girl who's dead, the Holly Berry. The press thinks that all these cases are connected for some reason. Stone thinks it's too early to tell something like that. Meanwhile, Keller has found Holly's brother, or at least his name. His name is Delbert, and he left the halfway house 2 weeks ago. They go back to the morgue, and the medical examiner tells them that she didn't drown. She died from a blow to her carotid artery, and he found other bruises on her body too, suggesting that she was beaten. No evidence of sexual assault, but he is tentatively ruling it a homicide. Keller and Stone go to where Holly lived and meet the landlord, Mr. Cunningham. Tom Bosley's actually in two more episodes of this show. But one of them is pretty sad, and it's also the first time that the show went to Alcatraz in season two, which I thought showed tremendous restraint. Because I would have gone straight to Alcatraz if I was filming in San Francisco.
yeah.
Anyway, Holly hasn't been home in over a week. He says he kind of knows her brother and her uncle and some guy who said he was a friend of hers. The uncle was last there looking for Delbert, the brother. And then that's when they tell him that Holly's deceased. And Mr. C at that point lets them into Holly's room. She had a new lock put on the door the last time he saw her, and the room looks pretty typical of a young woman in the early 70s, but also kind of sparse. She clearly didn't wasn't rolling in the dough.
I love the hippie uh, fluorescent light poster she had.
Yeah.
I actually had some fluorescent light posters when I was a kid. I did not
Nice.
have a fluorescent light though. So
I did,
yeah, I know you did.
and I
You were
had some little fluorescent candles too, which I never lit because I just thought they looked so cool when they were lit up by the black light.
yeah, cool.
He's threatening to come back in here. Anyway, Stone asks about this friend of Holly's. Mr. C doesn't know his name, but describes him as being about Keller's age, only a sharp dresser. And Keller takes offense to this, and Stone finds it amusing because earlier Keller, it's a joke that he takes great pride in his appearance and his tailored suits. The point is, he's clearly describing David Farr. Farr had stopped by to take some of Holly's clothes, and he had the keys to her room. Back with Farr in his yellow Jaguar, he starts having flashbacks to Holly. They met at a party. She catches his eye, and he follows her out to the balcony, and they immediately start flirting. She's very hippie, and like, listen to the piece, man. And she's at the party because she's with the band. She's with the band because her brother is in the band. Farr tells her that he's just a small town boy in a big city trying very hard to appear learned and sophisticated. And I do admit he's kind of charming in this scene. Like I never thought Robert Wagner was an attractive guy, but I can see where a young girl might fall for him in this moment. She asks for his card and he gives it to her. End of flashback 1. There will be many
Okay,
more.
real quick. I know this is based on a true story, but you have a girl from,
But no, it's based on a novel.
okay, based on a novel. You have a girl who is fairly new in town, and she's from a small town in Tennessee.
Hmm.
But with her conversations with Farr, she seems very, very streetwise for someone who is not really from the street. Did you catch that?
I didn't think about it actually.
Okay, well, okay, I guess I
No,
shouldn't have
no,
thought.
no, you're right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, she just didn't seem like the naive. Oh my gosh, she seemed very self-assured and very, I don't know, she just seemed very streetwise. So, but
Well, how do we know how long she'd been in San Francisco by that point?
I don't think very long. Um,
Fair enough.
I from their illusions, it's not like they had been there for years or anything. So,
Mm. Maybe she grew up in Nashville,
oh yeah, because Nashville in '71, that was just like San Francisco.
or maybe fine, Memphis. I don't know. Anyway,
Tussle, Tennessee. Okay.
back in the present, Stone and Keller go to question Farr again at his apartment, and he mentions that he lost his keys last week. So they get into his apartment and they're like, "Why would she wear your card around her neck?" And my question is, why didn't you ask him that in the first place?
Yeah.
Like that just now occurred to you. It's a pretty obvious question. They ask Farr if he was the friend who came by Holly's place to pick up the clothes. And yes, he was. There's really no point in him denying it. And he also has a great view of the bridge in his apartment, by the way. Farr said that when he bailed her out of jail, she was afraid to go home and that the car accident she had that led to her arrest was not an accident. According to her, someone in a black sedan purposely tried to run her off the road. She insisted someone was after her, someone was trying to kill her. It had something to do with something her brother saw in the trunk of a car. And they are not buying what he's selling at all. And this is the first time Stone kind of loses his temper. Keller asks that if he didn't take her home, then where did he take her? He says he took her to a motel. Um, he brought clothes to her, and then he left her. And the clothes he brought was the outfit she was found dead in, the yellow pantsuit with a belt that's now missing. He figures whoever she was afraid of must have followed him. And when Keller starts to lose his temper, suddenly Stone's like, "Hey, let's all just chill.
Yeah.
We're all buddies here." Like, okay, do as he says, not as he does, I guess. Anyway, Farr dropped the clothes off and left her there. So they go to the motel. The clerk does recognize her picture, but he's not super helpful. He says he did hear a racket coming from her room one night, like a man and a woman arguing. At first, he thought it was the TV. He says one of those doctor shows about young people or divorces or something. I'm like, I didn't know Grey's Anatomy had been airing that long. He didn't see whoever it was leave though, and he never saw her leave either. So they go back to the station with a pizza in hand. Stone gets a call to interview a witness for the Ramsey killing. Remember the red cowboy boot? And I know what you're all thinking. What does the Ramsey killing have to do with Holly Berry? Fools! All of you! Just pay attention. Um, the woman tells Stone that she remembers the Ramsey boy getting into a car with a man with a full beard in a black sedan. Because there's definitely only one of those in San Francisco. And the captain or the chief or whoever he is asks Stone and Keller how the Barry case is going. And Stone says that Keller is zeroed in on the lawyer, Farr, but he's more concerned with tracking down this mysterious uncle. And the chief's like, well, can't you two get together? And he's like, if we could, we wouldn't need each other. Which is fair. You don't want to get tunnel vision. You
Yeah.
need someone to pull you back. So they finally go to the gas station where Brother Delbert worked. And the guy there says that Delbert quit, didn't give a reason, and the uncle has been around bugging him for days about Dell and wanting to know where he is. And he says the uncle was an oddball, a real creep. So they go back to Farr's building and ask his gay neighbor if he's seen Holly around. And sure, he said he was one of Farr's weekend tricks. Stone stops Farr in a parking garage, and now he's starting to be less cooperative and more combative. Uh, he confronts him about Holly being at his apartment, and it turns out that Farr is a green belt in karate, so he could have chopped her to death. Farr asks how he would like it if he came around to your place and started asking, questions about your wife. And Stone's like, "Joke's on you, my wife's dead." Haha.
And he still wears a wedding ring, by the way.
Yes, he does, which is how you know this is fiction.
I'm sorry.
They
If Kathy passed away, I would still wear my wedding ring for a few years until
Well, that's
probably
nice
I
of you.
die. So,
They part ways and Farr has another flashback about Holly. She goes to his apartment and they start making out. They drink and they chat about fallen angels or something or other. And she's like, "Let's shower and make pancakes because she's a crazy chick." She makes pancakes and he's like, "Boy, you sure eat a lot, Tubby." And then he tells her, he doesn't say the last part, but he does say she eats a lot. He tells her he's taking her sailing on his boat today, and she declines because she's terrified of water. And I really cannot help but draw parallels here between this situation and Natalie Wood, who was also terrified of water. Just saying.
I did not make that connection, but you are
Yeah.
correct.
So instead, they just stay in and have sex. And she keeps having to leave to go pay the parking meter. And I do remember that from the book.
Now, one thing that does uh, bother me, and it's just the visual thing. I know that she's an adult, but Kim Darby was a small framed person. She's
Yeah.
always looked like a kid to me, and she looked like she's about 15, and he's kissing her, and I'm is like, ooh, eh. But I know
Yeah.
she was an adult, but she played a lot of kids' roles for so long because she was so small. So
No, you're right. She does come across very, very young. Just physically, she looks young.
yeah.
I get it. Excuse me. She tells him that somebody's after her and he doesn't really believe her. And then she tells him that she loves him. Girl,
Yeah,
you
I
need
thought that was
you
weird.
yeah, you need to calm down because no you don't. You're just 19 or however old you are. They go out for a while and suddenly Farr wants to take her home and she wants to go back to his place instead and he nixes that idea. She has his card laminated, which I didn't know there were just lamination machines on the streets, apparently.
Apparently, for a quarter, you can get anything laminated in San Francisco just by cranking a thing.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, when she has it laminated, she says, "Now he's mine. Now you're mine forever and ever." And that is my nightmare. I met so many clingy guys back when I was single. Just ugh. I I would have wanted her out of my life too. So Keller goes to see Farr's karate instructor, and there's a funny bit where where Keller
But
jokes that he's teach
I
what?
love the neon sign of the martial arts guy just doing this. There's something slightly racist, slightly cheesy, but very entertaining about that.
Yeah, there's a funny bit where Keller jokes that he's teaching a Japanese art of self-defense in Chinatown, and the guy's like, "Yep, and I'm Korean
I'm
too."
Korean.
Yeah, that made me laugh. He also says he's an American citizen, and I'm like, "Oh, good luck with that excuse today in 2026, buddy." And the instructor brings up Far's missing keys. Far, um, because he had to get a copy because he had said he'd lost them earlier. Far has been coming to the has been a student. I can't talk tonight. He's been a student at the dojo for about 6 months. And the instructor invites Keller to come and observe the class. And he says Far will be there, so he wouldn't miss it. And then the instructor mentions that Far has a boat, and he's like, oh, jackpot. He tells Stone on their way back to the morgue about the boat, and the doctor has finished the autopsy. And yeah, definitely murder. Her hands had been bound, and she was beaten before the blow that killed her. Stone and Keller do go to Far's karate class, and he somehow does not notice them until he chops this board in half.
Yeah, there's mirrors everywhere, and I don't know how to
Everywhere.
see
Yeah.
them.
They smugly tell him that Holly was chopped to death and leave him looking pretty nervous. Stone is still interviewing pedophiles with facial hair about the Ramsey killing, and Keller interrupts him because Farr is on the phone. Farr whines that they're harassing him and that Keller's been snooping around his boat, and Farr says that Delbert's got to be the key to all this. That's what Holly said, that this was about something Delbert saw. Well, nobody can find Delbert, and he says, I'm not going to help you unless you keep my name out of the papers. And they're like, well, we can't promise that. We don't control the press. So he's like, fine, I'll just have to go out and find Delbert myself. And he's not helping his case. So the guys head down to the marina and they start questioning Far's boat neighbors. And they tell him that Far mostly comes down on weekends. The neighbor asks why he wants to know, and Stone is totally honest about Far and Holly and asks if he was there on Tuesday. The neighbor reiterates that, oh, he usually doesn't come down except on weekends, and his wife is like, don't lie to them. He was here Tuesday. Just immediately calls him off, calls him out.
I
Yeah,
wanted to see them get into a to an argument. Why don't you shut up? We've been married
right.
for 45 years and you do this to me all the time. Why you deserve it? You should tell them the truth. They were
Yeah, the
cute.
next episode is the case of the case of the neighbors. Okay, so they did see a man in Far's boat around 10 p.m. But oh my god, I need a lock on this door. But they don't know it was Far. Technically, they didn't see his face. But the wife says, well, whoever it was had a girl with him and took the boat out. It's a reasonable assumption that it was Far, but in fairness, not proof. And she says, whoever they were, the man was practically carrying the woman. And I'm unsure why the male neighbor is so protective of Far, because he's really doesn't want to tell any of this.
Yeah.
Stone warns Keller that they have to do this the right way and get a warrant for the boat. They can't just let themselves in and start searching. Meanwhile, Far is driving through what looks to be downtown. He finds the brothers band at some dive and asks where Delbert is. And they say, well, Delbert can't talk right now. He's pretty strung out. And Far says he just wants to help. And if you could just relay to him that he needs to meet me tomorrow night, I've got cash for him. And the bandmate says he will pass along the message. Back at the station, the never ending line of bearded pedophiles goes on. Gross.
Oh,
Keller can't.
oh, MAGA.
And yeah, they're all wearing red caps. Weird.
Yeah, how weird. And their lawyer was a 6-year-old blonde who tries very hard to look 35 years old.
Um, Keller can no longer get a hold of Farr. He called in sick to work that day and he's not answering at his apartment. So he lays out all the circumstantial evidence that points to Farr, and Stone says that it's too neat. And I'm like, it's only too neat if you know you're in a scripted story. In real life, you'd be like, yeah, that's enough to arrest him. But since this is TV, Stone's like, I don't buy Farr as a premeditated killer, buddy boy. He calls Keller buddy boy all the time, all throughout the show. And Keller
Calls
hits
him
him with,
calls him calls him Hot Shot too.
yeah, um, Keller hits him with, you're the one who told me to watch out for the wolf in people. And he wants to go pick him up, even though they don't know where he is. But Stone is still like, no, we're not doing that yet. He still wants to find this uncle. So they go back to Mr. C's place and ask if he's ever read her mail. And he is offended. He would never. His wife sells him out immediately. I love the wives on this show. They're like, my husband's a liar. He is a liar, sir.
Well,
He,
specifically, it's postcards. So being
yeah.
there in an envelope, even Stone says, I even do it, so it's not a big deal if you've done it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, it's kind of hard not to read a postcard when you flip it over to see who it's addressed to. But anyway, there was one message about how she was supposed to meet somebody, but it didn't say who. Her uncle picked that postcard up. He describes him as having a walrus mustache and driving a black car. Dun dun dun. Farr heads out for his boat, but Gladys Kravitz next door sees him and, and is like, "Whoa, let's call the cops. He's back." Uh,
Wagner!
once Farr gets a look at the cabinet, he just stares, backs out, and then runs away. So they don't have the cops get to the boat, and I guess they don't have to wait anymore for a warrant because they have probable cause, I
That's
guess.
that's what I thought. There's got to be probable cause here because they're not waiting for a warrant now.
No. So the cabin is trash. It's completely trashed. And what is inside but Holly's missing yellow belt? And Stone finally agrees that they can put out an arrest warrant for Farr. And they get the whole squad out there because that is a crime scene now. He interviews a guy who said that I can't get any privacy in this house. Who said that Farr was trying to sell his boat, and he did have a prospective buyer about a week ago with the biggest cookie duster you ever saw. And Keller's like, "What's a cookie duster?" And
Now,
I'm like, "For real?"
I haven't heard that term since I was a kid. When I was a kid growing up, people called mustaches a cookie duster all the time. And when he said that, I wrote that down here. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to bring this up. Have you ever heard a mustache called a cookie duster?
Yes, but
When?
only in like movies.
Yeah, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Because it used to be a term I would hear.
Uh-huh.
He's the guy with the cookie duster, over there with a hat, something like that. And then, it just was like gone. And all of a sudden he says he has this big, huge cookie duster. I know what that is.
Um, I find it odd that he didn't know what it was because
Yeah.
even if you're not sure, you can kind of infer what that means, right? But anyway. So Stone is really stuck on this mustache having black sedan driving mystery man, and Keller is still stuck on Farr. Stone's like, yes, I know I issued the warrant for his arrest, but I kind of had to. There is a lot of evidence, but that doesn't mean I myself am convinced he's the killer. They need to find Delbert. The mustache guy had the keys to Farr's boat, so they weren't lost so much as stolen. Where was I? Oh yeah, so Stone goes back to question the karate instructor, and it turns out that another guy came to a class to observe Farr, and he describes the man as having no hair but a full mustache and beard. So this is like Wooly Willy running around,
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah.
just like whoop, whoop. While he's doing that, Keller goes back to the gas station and interviews the attendant again about the uncle who was harassing him. He says, "Yeah, he bothered me every night until I gave him Holly's address." And I'm like, "You gave out her address? The blood is on your hands, sir." I guess
In
maybe in the
today's,
70s you didn't think it was a big deal.
I was going to say in today's world, no, you don't do that. But back then, it was a little more innocent. I don't know. Said it was her
All
uncle.
right.
Here's her address.
Yeah, fair enough. So meanwhile, Far goes back to the band, and the bandmate he talked to earlier says, "Yeah, sorry, Delbert can't meet you." And Far has to get physical to convince him to take him to Delbert. He is like not waiting around anymore. Back at the station, the guys try to go over it again, to over it and over it and over it, but can't quite crack it. Except that everyone agrees the guy has a mustache, but only some say he had a beard. Have you ever seen, probably not, this dumb 90s B thriller called Scissors?
No.
Okay, it's got Basic Instinct. Sharon Stone.
Sharon Stone.
Yeah, before she made it big with that movie. It's a really bad movie, but there's a whole subplot about this guy with a red beard, and it kept making me think of it.
Hmm.
Far finally gets to where Dell is hiding out, and who should be watching him? A guy with a walrus mustache. He gets to Delbert, and Delbert is very much not well. He is indeed strung out, which I learned from that one episode of Starsky and Hutch.
Oh,
Yeah, I've never heard that term before or since. Strung out until this. Far asks Delbert about his uncle, and Del is like shaking. He's not making a whole lot of sense. He says he never thought that they would turn on Holly. Far starts handing him some cash to keep him talking. He asks Del what was in the trunk. He says some guy pulls into the station where he was working. He walked around to the back of the car and he saw something. Okay, what was it? He doesn't tell him. He says the guy put it all on his credit card. That's how he found out his name and could start blackmailing him. He thought if they could just get money out of him, he and Holly could move back to Tennessee. So Far accuses Dell of using Holly, which he was, but
yeah.
he says, "Well, I didn't think that the guy would kill her." And Far says he liked his sister, maybe even loved her. Dude, no, you didn't. But when she needed him, he ran out on her and he left her alone. And yeah, men will always let you down. You are right to stick to women. I'm talking to you. Yeah.
Eh, okay. Hey, even
Um,
though, even though twice in my life I've been on dates and I've been asked during the date, "Are you sure you're not gay?" So
I know.
I'm a dude magnet. What can I say?
See, the thing is, when you find out what Delbert was blackmailing the guy over, it just makes him even dumber. Blackmail in general is a bad idea. It's a bad idea to back someone into a corner, you know,
Yeah,
like that. But this guy, he knows will kill, so it's an even worse idea. So he was most definitely using Holly. Delbert hands him a TV guide and says maybe his name's in there, maybe it's not anymore. Far doesn't take it with him, but instead he just leaves. He calls the station from a payphone, and Keller answers, but Far only wants to talk to Stone. Keller just keeps him talking and puts a trace on the phone, but Far's like, "Yeah, I know you're tracing this call. I'll save you the time. This is where I am. Delbert's here." Unfortunately, Mustache Guy has also found Delbert and kills this poor, pitiful loser via chopping him to death. Which I gotta say, I find it pretty unfair that he tortured Holly before killing her, but takes Delbert out with one chop. What is that about?
that I don't know.
Misogyny. That's what that's about.
Probably.
Stone gets back to the office and picks up the extension, and Farr tells them about the blackmail scheme that Delbert and Holly had and how it backfired bad. And then he hangs up. Mustache Man follows him and gives him a chop just as he's about to get to his car. But for whatever reason, except this is a scripted story, he doesn't kill him. He just knocks him out, loads him into his own trunk, and then drives the Jaguar away just as the cops show up.
This reminds me of in Austin Powers when we judo chop, when he'd announce it.
That's a good point. Also reminds me of the part where he's like, no, 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 I'm not actually going to kill them myself or witness them dying. I'm just going to assume it all went to plan. What? Anyway, Keller and Stone arrive at the scene. They find Delbert's body. They find a paper on him with the name Gregory Praxis. And it does kind of look like Farr killed him, but Farr's got bigger problems right now than the cops. They have an APB out on the car, and for now, they don't have anything else to do, so they go home. Stone gets home and finds a note from his daughter, Jean, on the fridge saying that she left some food for him, because men can't be expected to feed themselves. Jean is a recurring character on the show. She's normally at college in like LA, so she only pops in every once in a while. He turns on the TV and notes that he has the same TV guide that was found at the crime scene. So he compares them to see if anything's different, anything's missing, and there is one thing missing from the one found at the crime scene, a movie starring Gregory Praxis. Now here's where things get real weird. Farr wakes up bound and gagged in some kind of hell basement. What?
The set looks like, oh, we need all these weird things. Somebody run a Spirit Halloween. Here's $20 and go get the stuff for the set. That's what I thought. It looks like a cheesy Spirit Halloween store, but
Yeah.
like,
They blew their budget filming on location. They couldn't afford sets. So Stone goes back to work and gets an address and a picture of Praxis. Turns out Praxis doesn't have a beard or a mustache. It was all for show. At the hell basement, Praxis takes the gag out of his mouth so he can reveal his whole evil scheme. Again, for no reason other than this is a scripted story. It is now morning, and Stone goes to pick up Keller, who is entertaining a lady friend. Well, tough shit. You got work to do. So they head to Praxis's mansion. They ring the doorbell, so Praxis puts the gag back over Farr's mouth, and he answers the door in his devil worshipping robe. I'm like, spread it out. Do you have red hands like Manos, the hands of
yeah,
fate?
there you go.
And
But
they're
instead
like,
of moths, we had a lot of tropical birds.
oh yeah, he lives in this weird, what do you call it, aviary.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, so why was your name found on Delbert's body? And he said, well, the kid must have just been an obsessed fan. Meanwhile, Farr is trying to get free, and if you think he's going to do anything useful, you would be wrong. Stone asked where Praxis was the night before, and he said, well, I had dinner alone. And then a noise interrupts them. He's like, pardon me, I've got a friend's cat inside. So he goes back to make sure Farr is still there, and he is, but once he leaves, he keeps trying to get free. Praxis goes back to the cops and tries to rush them out the door. They call his alibi because there was a pileup the night before, so he couldn't have taken the bridge he said he did. And Praxis is not a good improviser because he just shuts the gates and runs. Stone orders Keller to go around the back, and he climbs over the front wall. He manages to get himself inside the house, and everything in there is creepy and weird.
And you see displayed in his, I guess, hallway by his living room are like these heads that have the fake mustache, the fake beard on them.
Yes, yeah,
So it's like, I'm not going to hide this. I'm going to display it in my house. But anyway, go ahead.
right.
These are in no way my disguises.
No,
So,
not at all. Not at all. So Praxis goes back to Far, who has made zero progress in getting free, but he does get one kick in, so good for him. Uh, Keller jumps through the basement window, and he and Praxis get into a fist fight, and Praxis promptly kicks his ass.
yeah.
It's
But
pretty embarrassing, honestly.
I thought maybe you should draw your gun because this guy kills everybody with one chop. So,
That's a fair point, yeah. So Stone bursts into the basement and pulls his gun. I guess that comes from experience. While Praxis is grabbing a scythe, he says, "You cannot hurt me," and just starts walking toward him. Stone fires one warning shot, but he keeps going, so he shoots him dead. And that's the end of that. Like, oh well, he tried.
it does do a good job because he said, "You can't kill me." And then he shoots him in the chest, but he doesn't back up. He seems to be coming forward, and then he just kind of like falls over
That's true.
dead.
That's true.
So, so at first I thought, well, maybe he is supernatural because he's still coming after he's been shot. But no, that was it. Me, I would have boom, 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 boom. Get
Oh
away,
yeah,
get
I'm,
away,
I'm
get
emptying
away.
that thing. Yeah. Um, with that done, the squad shows up again and they find a trunk full of trophies, belongings of little Joe Ramsey, including the other red cowboy boot, and a necklace belonging to Holly Berry. And the captain chief, whatever, is like, wow, he was a maniac. Yeah, thanks. And the cowboy boot is what Dell saw in Praxis's trunk. So Keller and Stone go to visit Farr at the hospital, and Keller apologizes for misjudging him. I don't really think he owes him an apology because he was following evidence,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of it pointing to him. Circumstantial, I grant you, but he still had to look into it.
And his
Uh,
behavior was that of someone who's guilty. So
it absolutely was. In fact, the book doesn't even tell you, like, there's chapters of his point of view, but it doesn't tell you whether or not he's innocent until near the end. So let me see. Blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, Farr says, "Don't worry about it, because I can't forgive myself for abandoning Holly at the motel." And Keller's like, "Yeah, nor should you." Basically, Stone gives Farr the photos that Holly took from their trip to the pier, and then he and Keller leave to always remind him of his failure that got a young woman killed. I guess the end.
very good. Oh, so my thoughts on this, before I tell you whether I liked it or not, all this other stuff was, um, I was, I always liked the music, even when I was a
Oh yeah.
kid. I even though I didn't watch it when the music would come on, yeah, that's some cool music. So that's good. The Karl Malden character is, I just love him in this role as a no nonsense cop, and he
Yeah.
speaks with such authority every time he says something. Even if he says, "I want a bologna sandwich," you, "Oh yes, sir, man, I'll get you a bologna sandwich."
Yeah.
But the Keller just doesn't kind of let that push him around, I guess you could say. He's not mean or belligerent, but it doesn't affect him like it does seem to other people. So I just
Yeah.
thought their dynamic was really good.
Yeah.
Do you think that I have seen this before, the original airing, or if this was my first time?
This is your first time.
This was my first time. So do you give this a classic or a trash it?
I mean, it's hardly my favorite episode of this show, but I give it a classic because I do really enjoy most of the series.
Yeah, I give it a classic too. I think for um, with knowing the background that he's known Michael Douglas since he was a kid, they play off each other pretty good, and they don't have the kind of playful banner like Starsky and Hutch.
Right.
But they professionally complement each other really good in this movie. I do wish they would have. They kind of went to a little bit of the background with Karl Malden that my wife's been dead for 2 years. You know, I live with my daughter. I'm obviously still grieving. I still wear the wedding ring and stuff like that. But the Michael Douglas character, there wasn't much background. The only thing that you know is that he likes to entertain women sometimes. And I don't know if he does that with the banjo, a fiddle, if he can sing, if he juggles, but he likes to entertain women sometimes. But
Well,
the pilot
that's
really
fair.
didn't take us into his thing. But personally, I give it a classic. I think it's great. It makes me want to watch more episodes of the Streets of San Francisco, which is what a pilot is supposed to do.
Good point. Yeah. Supposed to
So
make you want to tune in next week.
when I retire and I'm a drooling vegetable, I'll be watching the Streets of San Francisco.
Okay. That's good to know.
Very good.
Well, what are we doing next week?
Oh, we are going to reunite that wonderful TV couple of Larry Hagman and Barbara Eden from I Dream of Jeannie, and they are in the movie A Howling in the Woods.
Woo, spooky.
Oh yeah, Barbara Eden, Larry Hagman, is it Hagman or Hagman? Hagman.
I think it's Hagman because there's an E, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, but we're going to do A Howling in the Woods, and that's from
Okay.
19, I think about 71 or 72. So right after I Dream of Jeannie, they were in a TV movie together. So
Cute.
cool.
I've never watched I Dream of Jeannie. We were a Bewitched house. So,
Oh, you could watch both of them.
really? Mom said I could choose one.
You never asked at Dad's house. So we're like we accept everybody. We're like those people like everybody's I'm okay, you're okay, we're all okay. I'm okay, Jeffrey Dahmer, you're okay, we're all okay. So that's the kind of person I am. Remember when I had senior communications in high school, and we learned, uh, the highest level of respect, something, when you get to a point where I'm okay, you're okay.
Hmm.
And with a lot of people, you got to stuck with I'm okay, but you're a piece of shit, man. You're Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that, So, anyway, a howling in the woods, and next week we'll be recording again back on Sunday. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't have any plans, so yeah.
All right. So, nope, no plans on Sunday but to do this. So we will see you then.
Bye.